In this week's video, I'm revealing 11 outstanding wines that sell for around $50 a bottle, give or take. There's 10 different regions and 6 different countries represented. And there's also red wine, white wine, and even some sparkling wine. So there should be something for everyone. The first top wine for $50 a bottle comes from Bordeaux's right bank. With 13.5 hectares of vines ideally situated on Saint-Émilion's south-facing slopes, Bellefont Belcier produces Bordeaux that offers compelling quality for the price. There was an ownership change back in 2016, and Bellefont Belcier is now owned by the same ownership group that owns Tour Saint-Christophe, which also offers compelling value. Prior to this ownership change, the winemaking team used 80% new French oak to mature the wines, but the new winemaker cut that percentage of new French oak from 80% to 40% with the 2017 vintage, and reduced it another 10% to 30%, beginning with the 2018 vintage and continuing to the present. This has resulted in an improvement in the wines, and they now offer much more elegance and finesse than they did previously. The 2020 vintage of Bellefont Belcier is absolutely outstanding. It even received an incredible 98-point score from Jeb Dunnock. The 2020 Bellefont Belcier is a Merlot-dominant blend that also includes about 1/4 Cabernet Franc and a small amount of Cabernet Sauvignon. This is a wine that is full-bodied yet elegant, with descriptors that include black cherry, black currant, violet, cedar, and forest floor. This is a wine you can enjoy young in a pinch, but it will definitely be better in a few years, and it will cruise in your cellar for 2 decades or more. The next top wine for $50 a bottle comes from one of my all-time favorite wineries in California. This is a historic California producer that makes outstanding wine pretty much across their entire lineup. This is a wine that you used to be able to get for around $30 to $35, but now it still offers compelling quality, especially in strong vintages, at around $50 per bottle. I'm talking about the 2021 Ridge Lytton Springs. 2021 was definitely a strong vintage in the Dry Creek Valley in Sonoma, and most of the fruit for this wine comes from old vines in the Dry Creek Valley. The 2021 Ridge Lytton Springs is a Zin-dominant blend that also includes Petite Syrah, Carignan, Alicante Bouschet, and small amounts of Counoise and Cinsault. This is a wine that will definitely be better in another 2 to 3 years, and you can enjoy it up to 10 to 15 years post-vintage. This wine comes in at 14.3% alcohol by volume. It has impressive freshness and elegance for a Zin-dominant blend from Sonoma. Descriptors for this wine include blackberry, cherry, roses, sage, rosemary, and anise. This wine is an absolutely magical match with barbecue. So if you haven't tried Zinfandel with barbecue yet, definitely give it a shot. I think you'll really enjoy it. I'm a big fan of a number of Spanish white wines due to some of my experiences while traveling in Spain, and in fact I think a number of them are extremely underrated. This next top wine for $50 a bottle comes from a very special property in Rioja that's owned by iconic Rioja producer CVNE, or Compañía Vinícola del Norte de España. I visited Contino a couple years ago and met with a relatively new winemaker at that time, and was extremely impressed with the Contino Blanco. So the next top wine for $50 a bottle is the 2018 Cantino Blanco. Contino is a very warm property with ideal sun exposure, and it produces some outstanding red wines, but it can also make some impressive white wines, especially in cooler vintages such as 2018. To help ensure that this wine had adequate freshness and acidity, they also selected fruit from a number of the old vines, and they also suppressed malolactic fermentation to further help preserve acidity and freshness. This wine is a blend that consists of 90% Vieira and 10% Grenache Blanc. This wine comes in at around 12.6% alcohol by volume. It matured in 30% concrete and 70% large oak barriques. This wine reminds me a little bit of a Northern Rhone white wine, so if you're a fan of Northern Rhone whites, you'll probably like this one as well. It has a bit of a waxy texture to it, and the flavor profile includes lemon, apple, crushed rock and mixed spice. This wine is extraordinarily food-friendly, so I hope you'll give it a shot and enjoy it as much as I do. If I received $1 for every time I endured a complaint about the pricing for Napa Valley wines, I could have retired from my legal job long ago. To be sure, value is a little bit harder to come by in Napa than places like Bordeaux, but that doesn't mean it's non-existent. You just need to know where to look. This next wine is a prime example of that. This wine is absolutely one of the very best values you can get in Napa Valley for about $50 per bottle. This is the 2021 Amici Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon. While this wine is labeled a Cabernet Sauvignon, it's actually a Bordeaux blend that consists of 82% Cabernet Sauvignon, and there's also smaller percentages of Merlot, Cabernet Franc, and Petit Verdot. This wine matures for 15 months in 2/3 New French oak and comes in at 14.5% alcohol by volume. For my taste, this is one that definitely benefits from an additional year or two in the bottle before you start digging in. This is one you should be able to age for 7 to 8 years with no problem whatsoever. I had the chance to talk to the winemaker at the James Suckling event in New York back in June, and he tells me that for future vintages, they're going to reduce the percentage of new French oak used for the maturation process. In fact, I was able to sample one of those wines, and I think that that resulted in even an improvement over a wine that I thought was already quite good. So definitely be on the lookout for the 2022 vintage when it comes out as well. I recently did a community post on a Chablis that I enjoyed recently, and that post generated lots of feedback from my viewers. So this next top wine for $50 per bottle is a Chablis. Specifically, this is the 2022 Louis Michel Chablis Vaulorent Premier Cru. This is a wine that was well received by critics, yet sells for an extremely reasonable $50 per bottle. This is a mineral-driven wine with descriptors that include apple, citrus, flint, and floral notes. It's crisp and fresh with ample acidity and tension. This wine is 13% alcohol by volume. It's one that'll definitely be better in another year or two, and personally I would probably drink it between 2026 and 2030. But it's an absolutely excellent white Burgundy at the $50 price point. Next up is a wine that actually sells for closer to $45 per bottle than $50 per bottle. This is another right bank Bordeaux, and this producer has vineyards in a prestigious area located quite close to Pavie and Gaffalier. And in fact, they even have a small parcel that's right next to Ozon. Ozon's owner has also consulted on their winemaking. They're also in the process of upgrading pretty much everything across the board. They recently hired a talented new winemaker, they made substantial improvements in the vineyards, and they're in the process of renovating and updating the winemaking facilities as well. So this wine will only continue to improve in the future, and it's definitely one that I'm going to keep an eye on. Chaussan Georges has around 5.5 hectares of vineyards that are planted to 80% Merlot and 20% Cabernet Franc. They recently got rid of all their Cabernet Sauvignon, so they're not going to be including any of that in their future bottlings. The vines have an average age of 25 to 30 years. The 2020 Chaussan Georges was well received by critics. This wine matured in 50% new French oak for 18 to 20 months. This is a wine that will definitely benefit from another couple years in the bottle. I would probably wait until at least 2027 to start enjoying this one. This wine is 14.5% alcohol by volume, and they make around 2,000 to 2,500 cases per year of this wine. If you're interested in wine recommendations, wine collecting strategies, and learning more about wine, please do subscribe to my channel. I've been collecting wine for more than 15 years and also have a level 4 diploma from the WSET. So I have both formal certification as well as substantial practical knowledge from the School of Hard Knocks. One of my favorite wines to enjoy when I'm at home is Syrah, particularly from cool climate locations. I found that cool climate Syrah can have some extremely intriguing aromatics that I really appreciate when I'm just sitting around enjoying a wine over the course of the evening. While the Northern Rhone is undoubtedly my favorite source for cool climate Syrah, there's also some compelling Syrah being made in New World locations, such as Santa Barbara County in California. 2021 was an extremely strong vintage in Santa Barbara County. So the next top wine for $50 per bottle is the 2021 Melville Estate Santa Rita Hills Syrah. I found this wine selling for as little as $44 per bottle. This wine received tremendous critical acclaim for a wine that sells at that price point, including a 96-point score from the Wine Advocate. This wine is produced using fruit that comes from the estate vineyard. There's 5 different Syrah clones that average about 25 years of age. They use 40% whole cluster fermentation for this wine. Following fermentation, this wine matures in 15-year-old oak barrels that are completely neutral. This helps to emphasize the impressive purity of fruit for this wine. This wine features red and blue fruit, smoke, rosemary, white pepper, and meat. There's also abundant acidity and freshness. If you're a fan of cool climate Syrah, I definitely recommend that you give this one a try. This next producer's wines have only been available in the United States for about 2 years, but they've been widely available in Europe and other parts of the world for many years. I first discovered this underrated, under-the-radar producer about a year ago at a trade tasting, and I was extremely impressed with the wines. So much so that when I was in France back in May, I visited the winery and did a comprehensive tour and tasting with the winemaker. The entire lineup was extremely impressive. Champagne Mandois traces its origins way back to 1735. It was a grower for a number of generations, and then in 1905, they established a champagne house under the family name. Mandois owns a number of estate vineyards located primarily in the Premier and Grand Cru villages in the Côte Blanc and the Marne Valley. As such, it's able to source an impressive 60% of the fruit for its champagne from its estate vineyards, including 100% of its Chardonnay. Mandois has an entry-level champagne that's called Brut Origine that I found selling for as little as $40 per bottle in the United States. This is an incredible value for that price point, but I would also encourage you to try some of their other offerings, even to the extent that they cost a little bit more than $50 per bottle. I've also seen the Rosé Grand Reserve selling for around $50 per bottle in the United States. You also can't go wrong with any of their vintage champagne, whether it's a Blanc de Blanc from source fruit or the Victor Mandois Estate Blanc de Blanc, the other wine that they make that's extremely special and which is their prestige cuvée is the Clos Mandois. This is a very special champagne that comes from a small walled vineyard that's located right next to the winery. It's 100% Meunier, and while most people contend that Meunier is not capable of producing an age-worthy champagne, the winemaker told me that he's able to achieve a very long-lived, impressive champagne based on 100% Meunier through suppressing malolactic fermentation and also by using reductive winemaking. So definitely give the Clos Mandois a try if you're able to track it down. And if you're visiting the Champagne area, particularly if you're in Epernay, be sure to visit as they opened a brand new tasting room the week after I visited. If you're located in the United States and you want to try Champagne Mandois wines, but you're not able to locate them readily, check with a distributor, Albert Bichot USA, and they may be able to help you out. Next up is the Italian representative in this video, specifically the 2021 Cantina Terlano Vorberg Pinot Bianco Reserva, which is from Alto Adige. This is as stunning and complex a Pinot Bianco as you'll find in all of Alto Adige. This wine is 100% Pinot Bianco, and the vineyard sources are located at 450 to 650 meters above sea level. Despite the fact that this is a Pinot Bianco, it's a serious and age-worthy wine. It's mineral-driven and complex, but also quite elegant. In addition to the minerality, this wine has dazzling descriptors that include white peach, apple, pear, quince, chamomile, and pineapple. This wine is silky and elegant, with ample acidity and a creamy texture. This is a very highly acclaimed wine, and one that's capable of aging in your cellar up to 10 years or so. While New Zealand is justifiably recognized as a top source for Sauvignon Blanc, I also enjoy a lot of the Pinot Noir that comes from New Zealand. It's extremely intense and vibrant, and the aromatics are particularly prominent and pronounced. So the next top wine for $50 a bottle is the 2021 Quartz Reef Bendigo Single Vineyard Pinot Noir, which comes from Central Otago, New Zealand. Quartz Reef is a quality-minded producer that was established back in 1996, and Bendigo is their estate vineyard, which is both certified organic and biodynamic. This Pinot Noir was well received by critics and features a red fruit profile with descriptors such as cherry, cranberry, strawberry, but also blood orange, alpine forest, and spice. There's a long, vibrant finish, and it also has impressive structure. It's an age-worthy Pinot, but one that's also extremely enjoyable in its youth. I found this next wine selling for as little as $43 per bottle, and you could probably do a little bit better if you shop around. This is the 2021 Altos Las Hormigas Meteora Malbec. The fruit for this highly acclaimed wine comes from the prestigious Praje Altamira area, which is known for its calcareous soils. Praje Altamira is a geographical indication within the San Carlos department, which is within Mendoza's Uco Valley subregion. This wine was matured for 12 months in concrete, which allows the purity of the fruit to shine. Descriptors for this wine include blackberry, plum, violet, sage, fennel, and white pepper. It's 13.5% alcohol by volume. It's elegant with vibrant acidity and an impressive mouthfeel. I've published dozens of these top wine videos where I recommend wines at price points ranging from $15 a bottle all the way up to $75 a bottle and everything in between. So if you'd like to see more of my recommendations at various price points, please be sure to check out this playlist that's linked above.